Delighted to be here with, I guess we're calling it a fellow YouTuber. I'm still uncomfortable with the title, but maybe you're more comfortable with it. He's the author of The Echo Machine, How Right-Wing Extremism Created a Post-Truth America. It's David Pakman. What's up, man?
Good to be here with you.
I want to get to the book, but first, you had a provocative video, maybe yesterday, titled, I've Been Warned, Do Not Leave the Country.
Okay, so we're looking at this together. This is Tim Miller and David Pakman. I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh my gosh, David Pakman's been right about everything. I don't take to everybody's style, okay? So while he is hitting some good points lately, I will say that his style is just a little too like greasy for me. It just is. Can't help it. Tim Miller always comes with his facts. Can't even front, right? But these two, they're sitting down and they're going to break down a few things. We are watching this together. And, you know, I did see that title to the video where he was told not to leave the country. I don't even know what that means. Let's just not even wait for it. Let's get into it. By the way, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm noticing people are subscribing. Please don't forget to keep hitting that subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell. Thank you. Thank you to everybody.
And I want to be upfront. I was like, when I first saw it come across my feed, I was like, okay, you know, like, let's not scare people unnecessarily. Like, I don't want to overdo it. I do plan to leave the country soon. And so I was like, we could do a funny video. And it's like, Miller, I do plan to leave the country for vacation. Like, you know, not really, not permanently. But as I watched it, I realized your situation is different from mine in a very meaningful way. And so I wanted to talk it through with you, because I think that this is something that people are really kind of trying to process and do threat assessment on. And so I just figured we'd work it out. So for people who've not seen the video, you know, give a little summary of why your situation might be a little unique.
Well, I was not born in the U.S., so I'm a naturalized U.S. citizen. I've had citizenship 20-something years, but this is a new world in which naturalized citizens have now been stopped and harassed or intimidated at the border, been asked and told to turn over devices. There was a story of a lawyer coming over, I think it was in Vermont, from Canada back to the United States, a crossing I've done, 30 times growing up, going to Montreal to visit, and I have family in Canada that I visit. And so the casual warning I got from immigration lawyers who don't know each other, but they all know me, is I might not go outside of the country over the next couple of months. Hopefully things are not going to escalate with these detentions. And I'm using the term detention not as in you're suspected of a crime, but just, at the border, we're investigating. You're not free to go right now.
Yeah. You're brought to a room.
And then if you do go, make sure you know exactly which lawyer you would call if you have a problem. Like, don't make it a sort of, I want a lawyer, because it's a different situation when you're crossing the border. It's know exactly who it is that you would call if that happens. And I think it's a reasonable sort of warning given what's going on right now.
So, I mean, do you feel like, are you adjusting your plans potentially? I mean, like, do you think that people should? I don't know. I mean, you're getting, not everybody knows multiple immigration lawyers, so like you've had those conversations. After hearing from them, your takeaway is that it's like a pretty legitimate thing to be concerned about for green card holders, naturalized citizens, people.
Yeah, and I would add, because I have such a public presence criticizing the administration, I do think that I'm at more risk than a random naturalized citizen, probably. And part of it is also like, there's not really the capacity to do to every naturalized citizen re-entering the United States.
All right, so let's slow down for a second. So I fully understand his concern. I do. I don't necessarily like the part of saying like, I think I'm more at risk than just a random naturalized citizen, because we did have a rando who was, she wrote an op-ed about Israel, and they picked her up off the street and deported her. She was from, I think she was Vietnamese or something. I have to get her name. But they got rid of her. Okay? So this can happen. I don't know if he touches that topic as much on his show. He's kind of making it seem like it's about the administration, but it is, but it isn't. I think it's more of the foreign policy thing. But I can understand his concern. I would be concerned too if I was him. I'm not going to hold you. I'm concerned as a citizen, first generation. I'm not like in my bed petrified, you know, but it's just like I am looking like, you know, like I'm looking, you know, like were both my parents citizens when I was born? And this is 40 years ago. They were. But, you know, it just still, it makes you feel, yeah, there's a concern there. Oh, you guys are acting crazy. No, man, I never seen, the stuff that I'm seeing lately, I'm just like, what's going on? So, yeah, I understand his concern. I want to see if they touch on a couple other things. Let me see what else they touch on, though.
The Echo Machine. For folks not familiar with it, just give us a little, little Reader's Digest summary, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, so 3 main points. You don't really need to read the book if you hear the 3 points, right?
Okay, but you should get it anyway. You know?
Point number 1, Trump is really a consequence or an end result. He's like the coal at the end of the rainbow rather than the catalyst for a lot of what's going on. So we trace that story dating back to opposition to the civil rights movement. That's point number 1. Point number 2, the dearth in critical thinking, media literacy, and epistemology is really a plague in the US that has significantly accelerated the ability of misinformation and disinformation to spread. So it's sort of like advocating that we've got to put this stuff back in school curricula, probably when kids are like 8 years old. Seems like a reasonable place to me.
How's your kid? I got a 7-year-old. She's about ready for it, I think.
I agree. And we actually look at, in Finland, it's so depressing, but not only are the 8-year-olds good at critical thinking in Finland, their Spanish as a second language is so good that they can do the critical thinking class in Spanish. It's so depressing to see. I mean, it's just, it's night and day what's going on over there. And then number 3, that a lot of the problems that the US is facing, that we are often told we're too big of a country or too diverse of a country to solve these problems, they've actually been solved in a lot of different parts of the world. And so it's sort of like a tour through political successes as well.
Yeah, so I get a little concerned with David Pakman. I'm not going to lie to you, because this is a person, maybe Tim Miller. Look, you guys know, I would say that I was MAGA, Now, I don't take on any labels now. Like, after going through all that, like, my God, the kind of propaganda that I had to unravel in my life in order for me to even get to the point of being MAGA, that's one thing. Then to unravel that propaganda, that's another thing. I don't need anybody's labels. Everybody knows I'm a Christian. I'm just a true follower. The progressive princess title, yeah, I want to progress to reality. I want to progress to, to truth. To actual truth. And yes, it's not my truth or your truth, or, well, we can nuance. No, there are certain things that are black and white. Yes, there are black and white is necessary. You know what I'm saying? And I think, that's what, because I find that I agree with a lot of progressives on a lot of things, right? But because I would say that, first thing that comes to me is being a Christian, a lot of progressives would say, well, you shouldn't use the word progressive in your, no. Anyway, I just digressed hard, right? But anyway, Dave Smith will act like he's a moderate, type of leftist, moderate. But he believes in curtailing speech. I'm sorry, that First Amendment means a lot to me. What happened to the classic liberals, at least, if people want to keep those kind of labels? I don't know who Tim Miller, like, if he's into that kind of stuff too or whatever. But I'm not into that. But I do like Tim Miller's approach to a lot of things. But David Pakman, I'm sorry, I do get a little weary, because this is the type of person who'll be like, well, we have to stop people from saying, sir, what these people call misinformation, a nurse assessing something could tell you it's happening without you seeing it in a book yet, right? And I'm talking about 2020 issues. More
pointedly, though, we did see in recent elections that benefited the Republican Party more insofar as narratives that were untrue but beneficial to the Republican candidate. So let me see
what he means.
And so, to me, like, the technology really hypercharged this. Something that was like maybe a little problem in 1999 or whatever. There's like a big problem now. So anyway, what's your view of that? And are there any kind of technological solutions that have happened to other places that you think are interesting?
I delve into that a little bit. It's actually going to be essentially the total topic for my second book, which I'm starting to work on. So, check with me in a year.
Well, we can work it out live. We can we're sort of drafting it right now.
There's, this is another area where it's very easy for left and right to end up in algorithmic echo chambers. So there's a bipartisan aspect to that.
Yeah.
So they're more than likely talking about like social media algorithm type of thing, and yet I know that happened to me. That certainly happened to me in 2020.
More pointedly, though, we did see in recent elections that benefited the Republican Party more insofar as narratives that were untrue but beneficial to the Republican candidate did spread more on platforms, including Facebook and others. That recent study in November found that TikTok was the only platform that was politically sort of 50-50. I think in terms of the politics, it was like 54-46 leaning to what are traditionally considered like more left-aligned views. But all the other platforms, like we know Facebook, if we're on it, we've seen what's happened with X, YouTube. In Q1 2025, the left is actually growing more quickly, but that's the first time that that's ever happened. We know that most of these platforms really have been dominated by the right, and the reasons for that, including the funding of it, I talk about extensively in the book.
So... And and we'll even. Oh my God, I can never not get them with their eyes closed. I think that people always just look to the other side and say they got it better. But I will say that there are influencers on the right, that MAGA right, the Tim Pools, the Ben Shapiro's, the Daily Wire, all these people. We're championing free speech. You always had it. You always had free speech, but you pretended that you didn't, so you could get people to follow your conglomerate, your platform or whatever. Because when somebody had a speech that was a little different to you guys, you got rid of her, right? So there's so much fakeness, man. There's so much fakeness that's why I'm just like, don't give me any of these labels, because I just want to be me. And so I get what he's saying, Facebook though, because when I was on Facebook, that's when I was like MAGA, and I remember I was shadow banned completely. I don't even go on there anymore. It's probably better now, but I wouldn't even know how to work it. Like I can't even deal. But he's right, about some of what he's saying. And I'm sure that if I would have heard this last year or the year before, I would have been like, oh, he's just hating on Tim Pool and and it's like, no, you guys don't really believe in what you say. Jordan Peterson went on, on Joe Rogan's show and made a mockery of himself, an absolute mockery of himself. And these people were crying about freedom of speech, not being able to say certain things and being forced to say things. And now you see him and he's calling people psychopaths and he's saying everybody should be removed from. So you don't believe in what you say. Like, just at least keep it real. Like, say that you just want the power and want to be able to shut people up. So I see what he's saying. I mean, there's just been so much manipulation when you see it. It almost can blackpill you to the point of saying, I'm over it. But no, because again, I'm a Christian. The truth is very important. And I just want people to hear all sides. I do. Like, there's no all sides of the truth, but I do not like people being manipulated, man. I don't. I'm not some big hero, but I just hate it. I'll see you guys at the next one.